I'm at the airport in Kuala Lumpur, and after only 24 hours here, I'm already leaving. So why would someone fly in and out that quickly? Well, that's the reality of being a nomad. Sometimes it's freedom and sometimes it's paperwork. So in this video, I tell you why I'm here, what happened the last 24 hours, and the real pros and cons of being a digital nomad. Let's go. I packed all my stuff. My flight is leaving in about 2 hours. I've just arrived in Kuala Lumpur on a beautiful sunny day. There are a few things I want to check out while I'm here, and as I only have 24 hours, it might be a quite busy day, so come with me. And now you might be wondering why I'm only here for the next 24 hours. Well, the reason is pretty easy, and to be fair, it's one of the downsides being a nomad. I stayed the last 3 months in Vietnam, my visa runs out, so I had to leave the country. And of course I could do a border run to Laos or Cambodia, but leaving the country by the airport has one big advantage. And that is you can get a tax refund if you bought some electronics, for example. And in my case, I bought the new iPhone 17 Pro. So it was worth it to fly out, get the tax refund, and yeah, have a nice day here in the city. I've just arrived at TRX, one of the biggest malls here in Kuala Lumpur, because another advantage of being a nomad is that you can travel to different countries and get electronics, for example, much cheaper as I could ever get them in Europe. For example, the new iPhone 17 Pro I bought in Vietnam was about 20% cheaper than in Germany, where I would normally buy it if I would live there, of course. So unfortunately, in Vietnam, they didn't have the AirPods Pro 3, so I came here to TRX because here's an Apple store and I'm gonna pick them up here. I just came back from the Apple store, unfortunately without the AirPods, because they're also not available here in Malaysia. So probably that's another downside. If you want to get them cheaper, you have to wait a little bit more than you probably have to wait in Europe. But obviously, being a nomad has much more pros and cons. And since I get these questions quite a lot, I want just to point out a few of them. So let's start with the downsides. One is for sure, it's quite hard to stick to routines, especially when you're traveling a lot. I always try to stay for at least 1 month at one place. If it's possible, I would even stay longer there. Like in Vietnam, I've been for 3 months. And after this visa run, I'm also going back for another 2 months there, so I can get to my routines, just living my daily life. Another downside, honestly, it can get very lonely because you meet friends all the time, of course, but they probably only on holiday or their visa running out, so they go somewhere else. And it's really hard to build real connections. Like you probably build at your hometown over years. One last point I want to mention here is you have to be kind of minimalistic because you can't carry unlimited stuff with you. I personally have a backpack and a suitcase, and all my life is fitting in there. When I compare it to when I lived in Germany, I had a flat, I had a room where I can store all my stuff. I had a lot of gear. I sold most of it. So it's very different from now on. And still, there are reasons why I wouldn't trade this lifestyle for anything. First of all, the freedom to decide where you want to live, where you want to work, and how you want to spend your time. Then the cost of living, especially here in Asia, everything isn't just only so much cheaper, but you also get a much higher standard. Then also by traveling from place to place, I can always stay creative because my surroundings are changing. It doesn't get boring, and I really appreciate this. And for me, it's like one of the main things why I can stay creative all the time. And even if I said before, it's hard to build connections, like long-term connections and building friendships. It's also has a positive side because you're building a global community and you can meet friends like almost everywhere. It's already dark, so time for me to head back home and get some rest because my flight back to Da Nang is tomorrow in the morning, quite early. And I told you in the beginning, this might be a very busy day. And actually for me, it was. I walked around all day, explored the city, and that's one of the habits I really like to do when I'm at a new place. Because when you walk around and just slow down, you see so many nice places and all the details you might not see otherwise. For example, by passing by with a motorbike just to places you discovered on Google Maps. And I definitely need to get used to doing these vlogs again. It's been almost 5 years since I'm doing this spontaneous stuff. So yeah, I hope you found some value in it, and I see you in the next one.